We all have that one friend who in a relationship is a little bit needy, a little bit desperate, the guy who's probably a bit too clingy. It can happen to girls as well, I don't know. And if you don't know any guys like that, then maybe you are that guy, or maybe you are that guy, you know yourselves. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this concept of being needy and desperate in a relationship, this one-nighters of thinking that the other person is the one and there's no one like them, and that you'll never get over it, especially when you started to encounter a bit of resistance and pushback from that person because you're quite rightly suffocating them and you probably don't even realize it yet, is the fact that in business, from my experience of scaling my agency and my coaching business previously, and from working with other people scaling their agency as well, this is one of the things that I'm noticing a lot. And it's one of the reasons why businesses don't scale and why, fully transparently, I struggle with my business and have struggled in the past as well. It's this sort of desperation and need for clients that you're unable to fill. Businesses, service-based businesses, will always have a level of churn, meaning that you will get clients and then you will lose them, or you will just finish the job and you will need to acquire new clients. Lead generation, new leads in service-based businesses is literally the lifeblood of service-based businesses. And most small businesses struggle with this. From my personal experience of having seen and having worked as a lead generator and as a marketer for a ton of small businesses and small entrepreneurs. The reason why I'm making this analogy with dating and with relationships and with guys who are obviously not doing this the right way at all is because the solution to that is always preached to be this mentality of abundance. If one is rooted in scarcity and lack of resourcefulness, then the other one is obviously the opposite of it, which is abundance. If that said guy had, I would like to say, a conveyor belt of opportunities, a doorstep, or if they had this mindset of resourcefulness and possibility, it's guaranteed that they would get over these things, these sort of clings a lot easier. And people in business would react and behave the exact same way, because I have seen businesses with an absolute abundance of clients doing their absolute best, thriving, not over servicing, not over delivering, scaling and growing their businesses. And I've seen the exact flip side of it as well, where every little lead, every little customer is being clinged on for dear life. And those usually end up being the clients, the opposite of the 20% of the clients that deliver the 80% of the results. It's actually the exact worst ones, the ones that add a ton of operational drag, are hard to satisfy and please, and you're just holding on to them because you haven't got anything better to fulfill and sort of carry your business forward. Now, the solution to this problem is quite obvious. Fill up your pipeline, sort out your acquisition, put yourself in a position of abundance where you have sufficient clients to fill out your needs, your business needs, so that you're not desperate and you're not in a space of lack. It's common knowledge by now, but the objection naturally arises, which is it's easier to retain a customer, it's more financially viable than to acquire a new customer, especially with rising ad costs, with what's going on with the macroeconomics, the rising CAC, the rising cost per acquisition, cost per lead is skyrocketing, and that's true. And I agree to that. I agree with that to a certain extent. There is a point of diminishing returns beyond which it just does not make sense to play this game of trying to retain clients at all cost. And you could look at it as a sunk cost fallacy. You can't think of it of, I've spent and invested so much in this lead, in this customer, that I now have to retain them for their life. Not at all, because at that point, it literally becomes an opportunity cost. The cost of going out to create another opportunity for yourself, a better one that's going to be much more abundant and much more pleasant and enjoyable. Now, another direct consequence of this attitude is the tendency to over-deliver and to over-service. Businesses, service-based businesses, should have a very clear scope of work, and that scope of work should not be deviated from. The moment you find yourself over-servicing a client, you should go straight into an upsell, a cross-sell, or any sort of mechanism to capture and to compensate for this extra operational drag, this extra friction to your business. If you're not doing that, you're just caught in a space of trying to go above and beyond the extra mile to please your client. And I'm definitely not against that. I am all for responsibility. I'm all about going the extra mile, under-promising, over-delivering, all of that stuff, but only up to a point. The point of diminishing returns, and you have to recognize that point, because you can't scale a business if you're consistently caught in the trap of over-servicing and over-delivering and accepting meetings here and there and sort of trying to learn things that are even outside the scope of your capabilities. especially when you hire resources, when you hire people who are skilled on a certain discipline. Say you're running ads and you're hiring a media buyer. Say you're hiring a copywriter, a video editor, whatever you're hiring, that is the service that you're meant to replicate at scale. The way to scale, as Alex Hormozi says, as all of the big guys say nowadays, is one service, one ideal customer avatar, one channel per acquisition over and over and over again. The moment you start over-servicing and over-delivering, you break yourself in all these little parts and you start learning all these sort of sister skill sets, which you're not naturally skilled at, which your business is not yet built on. And that is a dangerous path because it can just overcomplicate your entire fulfillment mechanism, and it doesn't even guarantee results. And all the time you're doing that, you could literally solve your problem just by solving for acquisition, for bringing in new clients with the same problem that you're already getting case studies and results, and you are good and sort of adapted to fix. Okay, so that out of the way, if you find yourself over preparing, over learning, over studying, over sort of qualifying yourself to fulfill a limited number of clients, then you may be in that predicament. You may have that problem. And all that to say that at the end of the day, business is a system. I have heard this metaphor, business is a plane, where one engine is the acquisition, the sales, the other one is the marketing, the product is the body, the fuselage, and the fuel is the fulfillment. I can't remember all of the 5 components of it, but the point is that you need all of the components. You need pipeline and you need fulfillment. You can't overcompensate for one with the other. I have noticed, it goes without saying, the reason why people end up doing this, myself included, is because we're trying to overcomplicate. We're trying to overcompensate for some of our limitations and our weaknesses and fears. For most people, that is the acquisition, the sales. Most people hate sales. Most people hate cold calling. There's so few people I've met in my life who love picking up the phone and calling a stranger. There are some, freak of nature, love you guys, envy you. That's not me. And then there's the ones who actually dislike fulfillment, believe it or not, who dislike the day-to-day operations. And they will just keep going and doing sales and sales and sales, and their churn will be astronomical, and they will just not be able to build a sustainable business, one that grows brick on brick on brick. Now, the solution to that is potentially partnership, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to achieve different results by doing the same thing over and over and over again, that's just insane. It doesn't work. It's a surefire way to stay stuck in place. If you're setting out to overcome your limitations and to put yourself together in a way where you can do the things that you're afraid of, then happy days. That's certainly what I've done. I definitely take on doing a lot of things, pretty much everything on my own. It will cost you time. The price to pay for that is time. The benefit of this is complete control, complete understanding over all the disciplines of your business. And I do think that up to a certain point, you need to have understanding over all of these disciplines. Even when you hire, it does serve you to know and to speak the language of that discipline so that you don't get scammed or just underserviced without understanding what it really is, the intricacies of it. But beyond that point, I do think that you should hire, and you should hire fast. And you shouldn't spend so much time becoming good at the things that you're bad at. Instead, I think you should play onto your strengths. You should decommoditize by playing on those advantages and just like becoming better at the things that you're excellent at, and outsource and hire all the other things around it. Okay, so in the end, it's just a fantasy that you're always going to achieve 100% retention, that you're going to be able to have clients forever and ever and ever. I have heard of businesses that are built on 5-10 clients, a handful of clients, and that they literally start with those clients 20, 30 years later, they're still with those clients, maybe lawyers, maybe accountants, I don't know what it is. Don't have examples for you now, but the digital marketing space in particular that I'm very familiar with, that is a pipe dream. You'll never compensate for a lack of pipeline, a lack of acquisition with excellent fulfillment. That just doesn't happen, plain and simple. And so the quicker you recognize that, the quicker you'll be able to figure out the sobering wake-up call that if your business is stagnant or if it's not even growing to begin with, this may be the reason why. If you're relying on referrals, that's another temptation, that's another fantasy. Sounds good, doesn't work. I have gotten to a point where I have referrals in 4 completely different niches. I have B2B, I have B2C e-commerce, I have B2B coaches and consultants, and I also have app and stores, and it's just an absolute nightmare to fulfill. And that's just a surefire, a red flag that you're basically taking on anything that comes your way and you're trying to keep all fingers and no pies. It doesn't work. The worst scenario you can find yourself in, it's almost like a shiny object syndrome combined with FOMO, combined with fear of uncertainty and lack of commitment all together in this big mess. So I hope this helps. I hope this opens your eyes if you resonate with any of this. And that's it for me. Until next time.